There's a moment when the world grows loud and the mind grows louder, but somewhere beneath it all, your real voice is still there, quiet, steady, waiting. Self-trust begins the moment you stop abandoning what you feel and you start listening again. Have you ever had a moment when something in you whispered the truth, a soft, steady, not this, not now, something's off, and even though your whole body felt it, you ignored it? That's the quiet that a lot of people live in. You feel the truth rise, but override it to stay agreeable, to avoid conflict, to keep the peace, to stay inside a life you've secretly begun to outgrow. It's not chaos, it's not trauma, it's the slow, painful feeling of drifting away from yourself, one tiny self-betrayal at a time. And the heartbreaking part, self-trust rarely breaks in big moments. It breaks in the invisible ones, those micro exits from your own knowing. In a few minutes, I'm going to share a moment I realized I wasn't doubting my decisions, I was doubting myself. And what happened the first time I chose to listen again. But first, let me take you back to the moment that shifted a lot of things for me. Years ago, I said yes to something every part of my body was saying no to. It wasn't dramatic. There were no red flags, no warnings, just a simple request, the kind people say yes to without even thinking of. It was that kind of thing. But the instant it was asked, my whole system pulled back. My breath shortened, my shoulders tightened, a faint heaviness settled into my stomach, that subtle crystalline intuitive cue that you only recognize once you've betrayed it enough times. That truth was clear. My body was speaking. But I didn't want to be difficult. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I didn't want to trust the part of me that sees far ahead of what the mind can explain. So I did what so many of us do when our inner wisdom whispers, I abandoned myself to keep someone else comfortable. At first, everything looked fine, but slowly, and then all at once, it unraveled, exactly the way my intuition told me it would. A subtle misalignment became tension. Tension became confusion. Confusion became regret, and regret became clarity. And in that clarity, the sentence landed, I didn't lose my way, I lost myself for a moment. That truth felt like both a wound and a doorway. And that moment became one of the greatest teachers of my life because it showed me how self-trust breaks, little at a time, and exactly how it returns. Self-trust doesn't vanish. It just gets buried under conditioning, old survival patterns, and the pressures to be who the world expects us to be. So let's talk about the 5 most common ways that we can stop trusting ourselves. We definitely want to avoid these if we can. The first way is that you're taught to prioritize others over yourself. If you grew up as the helper, the fixer, the meditator, the peacekeeper, that self-abandonment didn't feel like a wound. It felt like a skill. You learned how to read rooms, soothe everyone, stay agreeable, avoid conflict, and make yourself easy to love. But every time you silence your own needs to protect someone else's comfort, self-trust weakens. Not because you're wrong, but because you learned to survive by disconnecting from your own signals. Another way is that you were punished, maybe directly or indirectly, for having instincts or feelings. Maybe you heard things like, don't be dramatic, you're too sensitive, you're imagining it, stop overreacting. When the people around you dismiss your truth, you eventually start dismissing it too. So instead of thinking something's off here, you think something's wrong with me. Another way that we stop trusting ourselves is because your intuition was right in the past, but you ignored it. This one probably hurts the most, at least for me, because you knew, you felt it, you sensed it, and you still overrode it. So now the mind says, see, you can't be trusted. But the truth, your intuition wasn't the problem. Your conditioning was louder. Now you're learning to tell the difference. That's a good thing. Another way that we lose trust in ourselves is fear and intuition live very close together. And this is where most people get confused because fear lives in the body and intuition lives in the body. Both create sensations, both whisper, both nudge. But fear contracts, intuition expands. Fear rushes, intuition pauses. Fear needs certainty. Intuition does not need proof. In a moment, I'm going to show you exactly how to tell them apart, and it's a lot more simpler than you think. But first, let's talk about one last way that we're conditioned to lose trust in ourselves. And that's the fact that you were never taught how to read your body's signals. Everyone says, listen to your intuition, but hardly anyone explains what that actually feels like. So people expect intuition to be a booming voice, a giant sign, some dramatic moment. But intuition is usually quiet. It's subtle, it's steady, it's honest. It kind of feels like a small opening or a softening or a lightness in the chest. A gentle, this feels right, even if it's scary. And the more familiar you become with those signals, the stronger your self-trust becomes. This might be one of the most important parts of this entire journey, because once you know how to tell fear from intuition, you stop abandoning yourself and you start returning to yourself. So here are some simple ways to understand the difference between intuition and fear. Intuition is calm, fear is urgent. Even when intuition gives you a warning, it doesn't panic. Fear pushes. Intuition nudges. Fear says, hurry. Intuition says, take a breath, look again. Intuition feels like clarity. Fear feels like noise. So intuition is clean. It's a pure yes, a pure no, or a pure not yet. Fear is messy. It spirals, it loops, it over-explains. 3, intuition respects you. Fear pressures you. Fear bullies. Intuition guides. Fear says you'll regret this, you're going to fail, you'll be judged. Intuition says, this isn't it. This feels right. Pay attention here. 4, intuition speaks once, fear repeats itself. Intuition does not argue. Fear won't shut up. So therefore, if a thought loops, that's fear. If the truth appears once and stays quietly steady, that's intuition. In the next part, I'm going to share with you the body signals that confirm this, the exact physical cues that you can rely on every time. Here's the part almost no one teaches. Intuition isn't a thought, it's a sensation, a physical shift inside your system. Your intuition is the messenger. Your body translates the message. Your mind is the last one to understand. So let's make this simple. We're going to talk about several little things here, but we're going to start with expansion versus contraction. This one is universal. When something is right for you, your chest opens, your breath deepens, your shoulders soften, your belly relaxes. It feels like space. When something is wrong for you, your chest tightens, your stomach clenches, your breath shortens, your jaw locks. It feels like pressure. Your body doesn't lie. It doesn't bargain. It tells the truth before your mind can rewrite it. Another, lightness versus heaviness. Intuition feels like a gentle upward lift, quiet, subtle, almost delicate. Fear feels heavy, dense and dragging. Think of it this way. If a choice feels like oxygen, that's your truth. If it feels like carrying bricks, that's your warning. In a moment, I'm going to walk you through a practice that helps you sense this difference instantly. But right now, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to tell the difference. I call this one the settling signal. Intuition isn't always exciting. Sometimes it just feels settled. Your system exhales, something drops into place. It feels like a quiet internal yes. It's not dramatic, it's just aligned. Another one I call the timelessness cue. When something is aligned, you don't feel rushed. You don't feel dragged. The timing feels neutral. The next step feels natural. When something isn't aligned, you feel urgency or dread or confusion. Your energy spikes or crashes. This is your nervous system speaking, and it's speaking the truth. So how do we rebuild self-trust? It comes back through practice, not perfection. Here are 3 ways to rebuild it starting right now. The first is the micro yes practice. Every time your intuition speaks, even in the smallest ways, honor it immediately. If you want water, get water. If you feel tired, take a 2-minute rest. If you want silence, pause. If you feel drawn to move, stretch. If you sense a not this, then listen. These tiny yeses teach your system, my voice matters, my signals matter, I matter. 2, I call it the truth before logic rule. Ask yourself, what did I feel before I started thinking? Your first truth shows up before the mind calculates consequences. The more you honor that first feeling, the stronger your self-trust becomes. In a moment, I'm going to guide you through a practice that helps you access that first truth instantly. But first, we're going to talk about the third way, and I call this the gentle accountability check. Self-trust grows when you keep small promises to yourself. Not big ones, small ones. Just little tiny ones, like a single deep breath, a micro pause, a moment of honesty, a 5-minute walk, a glass of water. If you miss it, don't shame yourself, just start again. Your body doesn't need perfection, it needs consistency. Let's bring all of this into your body now. Sit comfortably, relax your shoulders, place a hand over your heart and the other one on your belly. Think of something small you've been trying to figure out, a decision, a situation, a next step. You don't need to force an answer, just hold it gently like a feather. Now breathe in for 3 and out for 6. That count should be getting familiar to you now if you've been watching these videos. Now on the next inhale, ask inwardly, what is my truth here? Don't chase clarity, just listen. Did your chest soften or tighten? Did your breath deepen or shorten? Did your energy rise or sink? Did your body lean toward or go away? That first sensation, that is the signal. Your mind may add commentary later. Ignore that part. The truth is always in the first sensation. That's intuition. That's self-trust. That's the voice within you that never left. It just needed space to be heard again. If this helped you reconnect with your own inner knowing, just take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss the final video of our journey number 1. So in that video, we're going to explore how to live as flow itself, how to respond instead of react, how to make decisions from clarity, and how to move with life instead of against it. And remember, when you listen inward, you return to the truth that never abandoned you. Bye-bye.